Hey, have you ever heard yourself saying like, oh, I don't have the time, stuff like this, Or you ask a person like, hey, do you want to like join my project and contribute to this? And then they say, oh, I don't have the time, I have so much to do, And, nowadays, that's really true. A lot of people always have something to do. Most people are not like hanging around and saying, oh, I'm really like, I don't know what to do. I'm like having all time of the world and, it's like really boring. Give me something to do. Usually people are not like this. They are more like, oh, I'm stressed, I have so much to do and stuff like this. Yeah? Well, and that is like, there's a study out there for Gen Z that like 37% of the young Gen Zs, they are reporting they have burnout symptoms, So it's really a thing and we have so much to do. And the problem is there is only a limited amount of time in your life. Actually, you could say there isn't even time at all. There's just like the present and then there's another present and there's the past. But, there's like just right now. But most people, the problem is for most people is, or like all of us, is really distraction. Because you have this device, you're probably looking at it right now. It's called a smartphone, computer, and these kind of things. So we have all kinds of distractions of our life. So if you like ask somebody or you get asked, and then you say, oh, I can't, somebody invites you to something, instead of saying I can't, start by saying I don't want. Yeah? Because that's really it. If you say, it's just like you're not giving that thing the highest priority. Yeah? It's just like you decide to do something else. And people who say I can't are in victim mode. And if you say, I don't want, you are in leadership mode because you're like deciding what's going on in your life, right? You don't have to do anything. Like even if you stop, you just live with consequences. So if you don't work anymore, you don't get any money, maybe going out on the street. But, it's like you don't have to work. You decide that you work and earn money. So it's like one thing, it's just this mindset instead of saying, I'm coming from the victim, I'm the victim of my life, to come to leadership in my life and saying, hey, I decided. So one very important learning is like to just change your language from I can't or I have to, you just go to I want or I don't want to. Somebody invites you, hey, come over to a party, and you say, oh, sorry, I can't, I have something else to do on the weekend. Just basically what you are saying is, I don't want to go to your thing. I have something else to do, which I like more. I have other priorities in my life. And now we come to the main thing of this video. It's about all the digital distractions. Because, you could like just look at your phone and your screen time and find out how much time you're spending on all kinds of applications, all kinds of stuff you're doing. Like you're texting, you're like maybe watching videos, you're playing games, all the kind of things. Or really like find out how much you're doing out of this, And then usually it's quite a lot. People get distracted. People are under stress of you get a message. People want that you respond immediately. So that's like a thing. And what we are offering here on the table, that's why this video is, that, hey, instead of just like watching social media, consuming it, you're consuming stuff, you start producing it. Imagine you are the director of a film. Francis Ford Coppola, I think, is a director. Inglourious Basterds, that guy who made like Kill Bill and so on, like really famous, I just forgot the name right now. But, like imagine you are like one of these great directors of a movie. And instead of just watching movies, I can watch movies all day. I can watch the movies I have seen like numerous times because I like that. But like you can like watch television series like Game of Thrones over and over again. So, but there you're just consuming something. And what we are working on is that you start using social media totally differently by starting producing. And then suddenly when you are consuming some social media, you just look at, that thing, what that guy is doing or that person has done, or like, that's really cool. How do I do lettering? And that's a nice feature. How do I do this? So you immediately start by going from the consumption side of things to the production side of things. And suddenly, your whole use of social media is going to change, because you're like putting stuff out there which is only like maybe 1% of people actually doing. Most of them is just consuming. So 99% or 95% plus people just consume. Very few people actually produce something. And the good thing about this is if you start going to the production side of things, you have a whole like, it's a game changer. It's a game changer. But you know, the real thing is that if you start building something, you're building social media real estate. If you start your own channel on something, like, you know, you can do your own channel and copy as much as you want from this ones and others, and start, you know, talking about the subject of CO2, climate change, and so on. You can start your own channel, become an ethical influencer, and you have something, you have like your followership, you are growing this. It's not going to be done in a day, but you know, if you do something like really long time and like you improve and you start following, you get into networks, you get more people on board, you suddenly have followership. And if you get to the larger amounts of followership, you can start use this for a living. Yeah, like using this for ads or like all kinds of stuff for monetizing things in the end. If you want, you know, you can say, no, I don't want that. I still do this alone. But that's like one thing, that if you build followership, that's like social media real estate. You are building something for your own. And then you are like, even if you do this just as a part-time thing, you know, a lot of people can just start by becoming influencers on a part-time basis because you don't have to do that much. Yeah. No. So, and that's like really a key thing is look at your life and then find out where are you busy, but where are you not productive? That's like the key thing. A lot of people are busy all the time. They're doing something and they think they have to do something. And they're like, you know, go out in any public transport or where other people are. They're just hanging like zombies on these screens. And most of them are not like producing anything there. They're just like texting and messaging and watching, and that's it. So one of the key things, if you say, hey, I really want to learn something new, is you learn how to focus where you actually are productive in your life, where what you're doing is, you know, getting you in the direction of what you want to do in life. That's a very important thing. And that's like also how you can like really enroll people into this, because you can just talk about this subject and let's say, hey, let's check your phone, how much you are actually on your phone. And I guess most people, it's not like you look up screen time and you see 5 minutes on the phone, yeah, and maybe on telephone calls, you know, but it really is something where you start looking at the facts and then decide, where do you use my time? Because the only real question always is, what are you doing right now with your time? That's the only one. Because that's the only decision you can take. There's, of course, you can have a diary and planning, and that's good. But, you know, the only thing you can really decide is, what are you actually doing right now with your time? So, thank you very much for watching. Please follow the channel.